Hello, everyone. I'm Herminio, and today I'll be presenting to you a very, very important topic, particularly in writing our research papers. This is a crucial part of doing a research paper. So, today I'll be presenting an introduction and a step by step guide in doing your RRL or review of related literature. Remember, if you are confused, it's okay. There is always a place for the first time. When it's my first time to do the literature review, it is quite confusing. What to start, where to start, how to start. But I hope this short presentation will guide you on how to make your literature review. I would like to thank in a most special way to Scriber and to Shuna McCombs who wrote this article and published it at the website of Scriber. So if you like more of this article, visit the website of Scriber and you can download templates. You can read the entire article of how to do a literature review. So most of the presentations are from the article of Madame Shuna Macombs, and it was, or you can find it in the Scriber website. To continue, what is really a literature review? Now, a literature review could be surveys of scholarly sources on a specific topic. It could be also, it provides also an overview of current knowledge. It also points out gaps in existing research and appears as part of a dissertation or on its own. And the purpose of literature review is number one, to demonstrate familiarity with the topic and scholarly context. Second, to develop a theoretical framework and a methodology. Third, to have a position of your approach in relation to other researchers and to show how your research fits in a particular discipline or in the research area where you are researching. So again, these are the basic purpose of doing a literature review. So those who have having a difficulty of doing and understanding their theoretical framework or doing their methodology, it is best that you start doing your literature review of the particular topic you are into. So there are five ways and steps in conducting your literature review. So here you will see that you will start first with searching for relevant literature. Then you go to the next step, evaluate sources. You have to evaluate the sources that you've encountered from searching different types of literature. And then after evaluating, then you go and identify common themes, debates, issues, and gaps on those sources that you've encountered, and then you outline the structure. Later, I will show you how will you outline your structure based also from uh, the scriber's article, and then you write your literature review. So this is a very, very easy step, starting with searching for relevant literature, evaluating the sources, identifying the themes and debates and gaps and issues, and outline the structure of your review, and then of course you have to write it. So again, the purpose of the literature review is to demonstrate with a topic and scholarly context, develop a theoretical framework and methodology, position your approach in relation to other researchers, show how your research fits in the discipline or in the research field where you are into, and evaluate the current state of research and demonstrate your knowledge of the scholarly debates. So I hope you understand that these are the basic purposes why we do the literature review. So again, starting with demonstrating, developing, positioning, showing, and evaluating. Remember these keywords. So demonstrate your familiarity with the topic and scholarly context, develop a theoretical framework and methodology, position your approach in relation to other researchers, show how your research fits into the research area where you are researching, and evaluate the current state of research and demonstrate your knowledge of the scholarly debates. Again, before we start, I would like to invite you to subscribe, click the notification bell, and click all, and please give your comments and share. Again, thank you for subscribing, and I hope you will enjoy as we continue. So, the five key steps to writing a literature review, starting with number one, search for a relevant literature, then followed by evaluate sources, then identify themes, debates, issues, gaps, and so on, and evaluate the structure, outline the structure, and write your literature review. So here are examples of literature reviews. Accordingly, there are four basic, starting with the theoretical type of literature reviews. There's an example here. If you go to the original article at Scriber, you can click and you can see the example. So, theoretical literature review is about the development of example. It's about the literature review about the development of economic migration theory from the 1950s to the present time. So, this is an example of a theoretical type or structure of a literature review. So, you will present your literature review in a manner chronologically presenting how theory of economic migration developed along the way. Second is on the methodological literature review. So, the title, for example, is Literature Review as a Research Methodology and Overview and Guidelines. In here, the literature review is about interdisciplinary knowledge acquisition and production. So as you see, you will be presenting here methods, and it must be in order. There should be a step-by-step guide in doing so. Third is thematic. An example is the use of technology in English language learning and literature review. So the thematic literature review presented here is about the effects of technology on language acquisition. And the last one that the article is giving us is an example here is learners listening comprehension difficulties in English language learning and a literature review. So chronological literature review is about how the concept of listening skills has changed over time, as in this case. So again, I hope you will remember these four examples of literature review, starting with theoretical, methodological, and followed by thematic and chronological. So I hope you will choose a kind of literature review prescribed also by your instructor, or you may choose depending on the freedom given by your instructors. So step number one, defining your research problem. So when you go into and starting your literature review, do not start not unless you define your research problem. Example here is the effects of social media and body image, for example, or social media and body image among Gen Z. So here, the research question is, what is the impact of social media on body image among generation Z? So first again, in starting, define your research problem. So we have an example here. And again, when you define your research problem, make sure that you look into the research variable, the quantifiability of the concepts involved in the study. So that is where you must focus your research variable. That is very important because it will guide you in doing a clear cut review of literature. So after that, you identify keywords. After you identify the problems, you identify keywords. Example, social media, body image, Generation Z, teenagers, adolescents, youth. For body image, you have self-perception, self-esteem, mental health. For social media, we have Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, Snapchat, TikTok, and so on. So identify keywords. It is necessary when you search things that you need to search in online, and then it will lead you to the best algorithm for the things that you want to search about in your research problem. So keywords is very important. And then next, where to search. Again, you can search through the university's library catalog. You can go and ask the librarian, uh, library assistant in your each respective libraries. And you can also go online to Google Scholar, Science Direct, GSTOR, EBSCO, Project News, Midline, Econlet, and Spec. These are uh, examples of web-based uh, uh, depository of articles, books, and literatures. So Project Muse is about humanities and social sciences, Midline is about life sciences and biomedicine, Econlet is about economics, and Inspec is about physics, engineering, computer science, and so on. Now, the next one is you will have, in searching efficiently, you may use the Boolean operators. These are used in programming. But Boolean operators like and or not will help you search for, let's say, two variables in relationship with each other. You may divide it by either and or not. That facilitates easy searching. Of course, you will have to read the abstract. Before reading everything, the article, make sure you have to read the abstract first to know whether the the concepts, the things that you want to search are really in the paper. So if it is in the abstract, then surely it is in the paper. And again, the best way to fast track your readings is go into the abstract. Okay. If you do not so much have time, you may just read the abstract, and I think it will be enough. And you can proceed on to the next readings. In case your time is really limited in doing the literature review. The next is check bibliographies for more sources. When you read an article, there are bibliographies down, references, read, and of course you can utilize those updated literatures, and could expand your selection of literatures that could help you in finding the questions, the answer of the questions that you formulated or your research problem. So next is note recurring citations. Yeah, you have to observe all of these things, and this may help you in looking at the best of literature for your review. Step two, evaluate and select sources. So how will you do it? So first is questions to ask about the sources. So what are the questions? You have to ask questions about the sources. So what is the first one to ask? What question is addressed? What are the key concepts? What are the key theories and methods? What are the results and conclusions? How does it relate to other studies? What are the key insights and arguments? And what are the strengths and weaknesses of the research? So I hope you take note all of these questions because this is quite important, especially in looking at the kind of literature. Next is taking notes. You may quote, you may summarize the key points, and of course, do not forget the source of information, the author's name, the title and the journal's name, the year of publication, the page numbers. These are very, very important. The the links, the URL, the website, the name of the website. Yeah, but the basic, most important thing is the author's name, the title of the journal, the title and the journal's name, the year of publication, and you will have the also most important is the page numbers. So In taking notes, consider these things. You may go direct quotations or create some summary, paraphrase the exact wordings, and that make your citations by understanding and looking at the source of the information and copied it verbatimly as it is. And by the way, you may also, in citing literature, you may use also the Microsoft Word referencing uh, tab. I mean, yeah, yeah. So you can go to the referencing tab. Maybe I will have some presentation of how to do it. Uh, and I maybe create a video presentation of that, so watch out next for the next presentation. So take notes and cite your sources again. So as you read, you should also begin the writing process. So take notes that you can later incorporate in the text of your literature review. It is important to keep track of your sources with citations to avoid plagiarism. It can be helpful to make an annotated bibliography where you compile full citation information and write a paragraph of summary and analysis for each source. So this helps you remember what you read and saves time later in the process. Now, take note, remember, make sure the sources you use are credible. Make sure you read any landmark studies and major theories in your field of research. You can use also the template. There's a template attached by Scriber and summarize and evaluate the sources, and you may click the the link that I provided in the comment section of this video, and you can have access for uh, the template of doing and summarize and writing your literature review. So step 3, identify themes, debates, and gaps. So what to look for in looking for the themes and gaps. Number one, trends in the literature over time. Okay, look at the trends. And then key themes, the debates and arguments, disagreements, issues, pivotal publications, and the research gaps. So in doing so, examples of trends and gaps. Number one is the most research focus on young women. Those could be trends. Those could be also gaps that if most researchers are focusing on young women, perhaps there could be fewer or none researches focus on women, senior citizen women, or women who are octogenarians or centenarians, right? So those are probably an opportunity in finding trends and gaps. Then, increasing interest in visual aspects of social media, for example. This is an example of, of, of not so as a gap or a trend. Number one, lack of research on platforms like Instagram and Snapchat. This is a gap your research could fill. Okay, so again, uh, uh, the first two are the trends. The second one could be the gap. So the third one could be the gap. So you must really to consider, and you must really have to to be alert. You must be observant as you read the reviews. I mean, as you read the literature and review the literature, that you will have to look at the first two, the trends, and then you have there the gaps. So again, uh, this is quite important because this is where you come in. This is where you do your research. And then the next one is step number 4, outline your structure. So in outlining, these are common structures. Number one, chronological, thematic, methodological, and theoretical. We have discussed this one a while ago. But in doing so, in doing chronological review, um, the structure should be organized by time. For thematic, you organize it by themes. For methodological, you organize it with the methodology, and theoretical, you organize by theoretical approach. And for chronological structure, the simplest approach is to trace the development of the topic over time. However, if you choose this strategy, be careful to avoid simply listing and summarizing sources in order. So try to analyze patterns, turning points, and key debates that have shaped the correction of the field. Give your interpretation of how and why certain developments occurred, and for thematic, if you have found some recurring central themes, you can organize your literature review into subsections that address different aspects of the topic. For example, if you are reviewing literature about inequalities in migrant health outcomes, the key themes might include healthcare policy, language barriers, cultural attitude, legal status, and economic access. For thematic analysis, if you draw your sources from different disciplines or fields that use a variety of research methods, you might want to compare the results and conclusions that emerge from different approaches. So for example, look at what results have emerged in qualitative versus quantitative research. So discuss how the topic has been approached by empirical versus theoretical scholarship, and lastly, divide literature in sociological, historical, and cultural sources. Now, theoretical approach or structure is a literature review is often the foundation for a theoretical framework. So you can use it to discuss various theories, models, and definition of key concepts. You might argue for relevance of a specific theoretical approach or combine various theoretical concepts to create a framework for your research. So again, this is just the common structures. You may combine one structure with the other, or you may have a different way of doing it. So sometimes your instructor will give you, or your professor will give you some ways how to do it. So, but are these are the basic structure in doing your literature review. The last is the step 5, write your literature review. So again, like any academic writing, there is always an introduction, body, and conclusion. So for the introduction part, establish the purpose, why you do the literature review. Number two, do the body. The body is where you analyze the literature, and the conclusion is you summarize key findings. So in introduction, um, provide background on the topic, describe the objectives of the literature review. So describe the background why you do the review, and then the objective, your objective. Reiterate central problem, briefly summarize scholarly context. And, on the body, you may divide it into sections, analyze and interpret, critically evaluate, synthesize different sources, use well-structured paragraphs, and cite your sources. Now, in the conclusion, discuss the overall implications, make suggestions for the future research, show how the literature review has informed your approach, then state what gaps your research will address. Now, there are recommended sources for the Scriber. Again, thank you so much to Scriber and Shuna McCombs for the wonderful uh, article on doing literature reviews. And you can visit furthermore on Scriber for resources, particularly their knowledge base, the citation generator, and their YouTube channel. And please subscribe to their YouTube channel. Thank you so much. And if you like, subscribe my YouTube channel, Herminio Cabosog Jr., and click notification bell, click all, and share, comments, and subscribe. I hope you enjoy this presentation, and see you next time for our next presentation. Thank you, and have a good day.